Hey everybody, it's Bust with Expedition Trial number 296. Let's see who shows up. Interesting. I'm gonna ultimately take this Misfortune. I've drafted Misfortune a couple times here recently, without much success, but I think, I'm kind of getting myself reoriented to her being good in this new format. She's, incredibly powerful champion, but it takes a bit of work to get a good Misfortune deck going, and that's what I think we'll choose here. I have some ideas. It would be really sweet if we could just get Jarvan to show up with Misfortune, but we'll see how this plays out. And as usual, if you're here just shooting for 7, this is a fantastic Zed start. The Green Glade Duo Sparring Student are pretty powerful. I think Zed's even stronger now with the addition of Shadow Assassin getting +1 attack. That's kind of your ideal top end as far as Zed decks are concerned. You typically close out with like Usari, maybe a Jeweled Protector, but Shadow Assassin does a very similar thing, as to where you just need to get another unit on the board, and maybe draw a card while you're at it, so you just don't run out of stuff to do. It's pretty powerful at 2 attack. It was nerfed to Oblivion down to the 1/1, and then I think it's much as we saw with Inspired Mentor. Having that 2 attack is ultimately pretty important, and gives Zed quite the boost. But we're gonna draft this Misfortune again. If you want to shoot for 7, I'd probably go after Zed. This Thresh is not a deck I'm particularly interested in. This hey, let's trade 1 for 1, and maybe I'll draw a couple cards a couple times, and then just outdo you once I've removed all your units. It just doesn't work in the current Expedition metagame. This kind of classic draw go control deck style of thing is just not something that we're really able to do when you're if you're wanting to try that. Just run into someone playing invokes and see see how well just trading 1 for 1 all day works out for you. But nonetheless, yeah, we'll take this Misfortune. Let's take a moment. We'll get her pulled up on the site. If you're not familiar, it's ftpbus.com. It's where I keep all of my expedition-related content. It'll just be over here on the Expedition Helpers section. It's the main page, where you can click the little button in the toolbar if that's what you need to do. And then so let's just make our way to the drop-down box, scroll down to Misfortune, take a peek at what we're working with here. And so, yeah, like with this Misfortune, the pool's called Scouted Out. This is a pool centered on getting some kind of value out of scouts. The quickest way to get Misfortune to level up, she wants to see you attack 4 times. If you're getting scout attacks, then you can do it much faster. Kind of easy peasy. The interactions are kind of obvious there. But some of the problems we run into are in the Bilgewater half of this deck. The scout units are all terrible. I shouldn't say that they're terrible, but they're not very many of them. They're rare and they're expensive. And so, Island Navigator, reasonable unit. It makes the scout unit, but is kind of expensive in the game to get going. Same with Razor Scale Hunter. He's kind of one of your premier removal spells, if you will. But again, it's very expensive. Both of these are rares, so it's hard to get them in a large quantity. And you really just have to get yourself paired up with Demacia if you're wanting to pursue the scout theme, which you can't do. We're guaranteed to see a Demacia champion in the second pack, because she pairs up with Quinn. And so, if you're not familiar with how this works in Expedition, this champion has a partner pairing, is what I call them. And so Misfortune pairs up with Quinn out of Demacia. So in the second pack, if we take Misfortune, we're not guaranteed to see Quinn, but we are guaranteed to see a Demacia champion. Then we're kind of required to take Demacia champions if we want to end up in this Scouts deck. So, kind of the other thing that Misfortune happens to be good at here is you can use her to get plunders. And so, Misfortune just being down and attacking is going to be guaranteed to get you a plunder, since your opponent probably can't stop the hero power from her. Same thing applies with Crackshot Corsair. He's very good at activating plunders. He plays to the Scouts theme, since if you're attacking twice, you get this damage ability twice. But, within this pool, the only real plunder card is Jagged Butcher. So you do have to kind of try to find some other additional ways to hit plunders if you really want to pursue that theme hard. And then the last thing I like to call out with Misfortune is, she's very good with challengers. And so if you play a Boxtopus and go challenge something down, if we hit a 1-drop unit, Misfortune would just kill it. We can pop Divine Shields, or I should call them barriers. That's the wrong game. It's just a very good usage for Misfortune. plus these challengers. And so, lots of things that we can pursue, but, kind of the problems here, this card pool doesn't have very good late game. It's just really these scout units at the rare slot, doesn't have any, big like 6 or 7 drops that you're really excited to try to close things out with. And then it doesn't have any removal spells either. And so you can't really count double up as a removal spell. This is kind of a prayer and a dream if you're playing this as removal. This is more along the lines of just playing a decimate. So that's what we're doing with Misfortune. Not a bad start though with the Challenger unit and one of the Bilgewater Scouts. And let's see who shows up. And so yeah, I mean, we're just going to take the Demacian Steel pack here. Hopefully this will pan out okay. One of the common 3-cost scout unit is an elite, so hopefully that will show up in some kind of reasonable number, and we'll be able to pursue the scouts that way. If not, I mean, pivoting over to elites isn't the worst thing that we could do. It's a very powerful strategy, but it does involve just abandoning Misfortune. Within the elites card pool, I really want to be able to take advantage of Vanguard Bannerman, and so we'll have to see how that plays out. But, interestingly enough, with things like Honored Lord, the Bilgewater is pretty good at getting these challenges, without specifically having it, right? Without specifically having challenger cards. They do have Hired Gun, the 2/3 for 2 mana that gives your opponent's weakest unit vulnerable. Then we have the things like our scout unit, whatever it was called, the 5-cost 4/4. That's a little late in the game to be taking advantage of Honored Lord, but it is another way to do it. And then there's not Make It Rain. It's the 1-cost card that gives something vulnerable for a turn, and if you kill it, you draw a card. And so we do have some, kind of combos that we can do with Honored Lord. And then technically Garen also fits in with this Misfortune theme, since if he's flipped, he brings these rallies on your opponent's turn. So, we do have some combos here. Some kind of synergies that we could be pulling off, even though this isn't the ideal pull that we were looking for. And so, as far as these other ones go, I don't really recommend Aurelian Soul. There's just not enough synergy within Bilgewater for this. You're really looking for some early game and some removal spells, and that just doesn't quite come in the density we're looking for out of Bilgewater. And then, of course, could take Zed. Not something we're going to be doing, but Zed is powerful enough on his own to be willing to pursue. So yeah, we're going to take this Garen. We'll get him pulled up as well. He basically just has every card in the game that says Elite on it, and that's his card pool. But, it's this big, monstrous card pool of things. We got to see what we can, maybe get something out of this, because this is what will be showing up in larger quantities than the other kind of Demacia pools. But again, we talked about Honored Lord. I think this is a reasonable pickup. We do have some incidental ways to give our units Challenger, and then, since our removal is so bad between these two card pools, hopefully that will play out reasonably. We do have things like Golden Aegis as a way to get rallies and additional attacks, and so I think that could end up being useful. And then there is, of course, the Penitent Squire. It should be a little tougher for us to take advantage of, but if we can get this going, putting a Tattered Banner on a Scout unit or putting it on an Honored Lord, pretty decent thing we could be doing. But the Scout unit does live here somewhere, I think. No, are you not here? Are you not here, friend? Wow, I completely did not expect that. Where are we at with Scouted Out Quinn? What's this thing even called? Greenfang Warden. I fully suspected this would be in the Garen pool. Apparently it is not. But this is who I was hoping was going to show up within the elites. Is that really not in there? Man. Sometimes you think you know it all, and then you are completely not correct. But yeah, he's not in here, so weird. But hopefully, that's the unit we'll have show up a bit. He's kind of the backbone of these style of decks. So we'll see how that plays out. Okay, and so yeah, I do worry about having just like too much Demacian Steel stuff show up, but this is far and away the strongest cards that we could take here. I'm not like really excited about loading up on Fleet Feather Trackers in this style of deck. It tends to just be a trade. I don't really like having these unless we kind of have a way to have this survive a combat, whether or not that's like a barrier or a war chefs or something to give a quick attack, and that tends to not be something our deck is good at. We're good at trading up. We're good at giving the additional damage on the tracker from something like Misfortune, but it feels pretty mediocre in this style of deck. And then I'm not particularly interested in picking up Sharma cards. There is all of the vulnerable cards out of like the Slayer's pool and the Renekton pool, but that's a bit of a stretch to be diving in at this stage. So let's just take these two units here. Okay, and then speaking of the challenger pool with the exhaust and the siphoning strike showing up, this could be reasonably powerful. Just kind of a, it's not a guaranteed removal spell, but it's a pretty decent one. And then the exhaust is a way to, give something vulnerable, which plays into our having of Honored Lord and not Island Navigator, but Gallant Rider. And so, I think it's tough, right? If we're really looking to build towards misfortune, we really need the scouts to be showing up, and there are no scouts within uh, this card pool. We could hopefully or maybe have things like Cataclysm show up. If we're going to start seeing like Challenger Demacia packs, and that is another way to get scout attacks. If you, I was recently told, and it sounds great and fantastic, that if you say play. Uh, uh, Cataclysm on a scout unit on your opponent's turn, then you could still get the 2 attacks in, right? So you Cataclysm something with a scout unit, and then you get the rally for it. And so, this Challenger pool showing up would be kind of interesting. And these other packs are fairly weak. So I'm going to dive in. I'm not typically like really excited about this being the kind of thing to happen, but hopefully we can get together like enough of a scouts theme to where Misfortune is still pretty powerful. And I am, kind of interested in having her in this challenger theme, just because her ability is so good in that sense. Okay, and so yeah, I think we were fine to continue down here with the challengers. The scouted out packs are showing up, but it doesn't have any scout units in it. I'm not really looking to play with citrus couriers, and these 2 early game plays are pretty good here. So I think those are both reasonable pickups. And see, look at these. I mean, the scouted out packs are showing up, but I don't want Chain Vestor for Demacia, and so this one's tough. We are getting another challenger here in Jal Hunters, and then Slotbot can reasonably play to the kind of challenger theme. But then we also have the ability to get Shakedown, which I don't think we like really need to pursue Shakedown. We're going to have enough interactive abilities. I think this used to be pretty powerful. I think my valuing has gone down on it a little bit. But I think we're fine to just take the Jaw Hunters. And, ideally, we are a little light on top end at this point, and Jaw Hunters helps to a degree with that. Okay, well, I don't know if we're gonna see any more scouts, but the Honored Lord Exhaust is too good to pass up here. Not really looking to be a slippery Wave Rider deck, and then Succession for Demacia. We're not quite enough into scouts for that to be super exciting. Okay, it's tough. I mean, the scouted out packs have been showing up, but these have just been such hot garbage. Like, I don't like Playful Trickster. You can't use it on your opponent's turn. You have to have, like, some kind of weird attack for this to really work well on your turn. You either just have to have, like, Misfortune on the board to try to get a free rally. I mean, it's just, it takes a lot of work to be any good. And then I don't think we'll have too many Bayou Brunch combos, right? We have the one Boxtopus. The idea with this is, you can Bayou Brunch this away, then he comes back into play as a 3/4. Just not something I'm really interested in pursuing. So I think we're just going to take the Challenger pack down here. We do need to get a removal spell at some point. We have Siphoning Strike, but I consider this to be one of the kind of middling removal spells, like a Calling Strike. Weight of Judgment is a little bit better in that sense that it can take down pretty much any unit, just worse against champions. But I think these are where we need to be. Okay, well, I mean, scouted out pack again. I mean, scouted out shows up. There's no scouts in it, and so the packs have made an appearance. They've just been terrible packs, and so how do we want to look at this one? I am kind of interested in reinforcements here. We have enough elites for it to be interesting, and then it's powerful enough on its own to not really care about that. Getting 16 stats for 8 mana is a pretty decent deal. And then, it's just gravy if you have an additional unit on the board. But I'm kind of interested in, since we have like the exhausts and, things like Boxhopper, Rockhopper, and Boxtopus in the early game, just picking up an additional War Chefs. Try to help out with these early game challenges. Okay, and then there's our boy Bannerman. Not today, but this is ultimately the payoff for elites and why I recommend staying completely Demacia if possible. But with these, I don't want these reputation cards. These won't do anything well in our deck, so we're just kind of stuck with Fortune Croaker, Pilfered Goods. It's not something to say to be upset about, but just not playing out exactly how we wanted. Okay, I mean, a 1-drop with another Siphoning Strike, I could get behind that. All of these other packs are fairly weak. I would be okay with Radiant Strike, but Vanguard Squire is something we're going to be actively trying to trade away. And then these Siphoning Strikes are pretty powerful, especially if we come in and pick up and play 3 champions instead of playing 3 Misfortunes. We'll see how we feel about that, but always a possibility, like if a Jarvan shows up or something. And here, I guess this is finally our chance to, jump into a pack of Scouted Out. I'm glad that they kept showing up. I'm glad they didn't just disappear from our options, but these are the first like real units that we've seen out of the Scouted Out packs, and they don't even have Scout. But the way I'll talk a lot about these exhaust cards like exhaust and this challenger pool specifically, is you need to have a way for your units to survive combats, right? You can't just be playing like rock hoppers and trading. I mean, that's fine, but not that great. You're really looking for a situation where you play like rock hopper and then attack that unit with Honored Lord, so you're able to progress and advance your board and start like snowballing on your opponent. And Loyal Badger Bear plays to that fantastically. He can take down pretty much anything played on the first 3 turns of the game, and then even has his way with some of the 4-drops in the game. And so, he's a pretty ideal unit to be picking up with the strategy that we've put together here. Okay, and all right. Well, Stalking Broodmother it is. I think I do have a tough time passing on Rockhoppers, and both Confront and Chain Vest are pretty weak. But we have to have like some kind of top end in this deck, right? We're really just kind of leaning on Garen and some hopes and dreams from that point forward. And so I think a Broodmother is pretty important to pick up here. I would ideally have the Great Horn Companion's nice. I was going to say, I would ideally have Great Horn Companion in that spot, since he tends to survive all the combats anyways, and is a little bit cheaper. But, this has been a perfect little setup here, just getting some Honored Lords to control the early game, and then a late game when we were really, really hurting for it. Okay. Alrighty, so how do we feel about this? I'm cool with picking up Gallant Rider. This could kind of count as late game. It just takes a bit of work to pull off, but even if you aren't doing that work, a 4/4 for 4 is a pretty decent deal. Excuse me, I don't really like stacking on Stalking Broodmothers, so I think we can let that one go. And then we could pick up the Chain Vest for the Jaw Hunters. This is an additional way to get large units in your hand with the sea monsters, but we're not going to have a real easy time going deep with this deck. And so I think I just want to pick up the Gallant Rider here, just get this kind of weaker unit out of our deck. Chain Vest could still be okay here, but just due to all these challenges we have. But the thing, it's not nearly as good as it used to be. It used to be a lot of just like 1-attack units that were worth challenging down, so you could get a couple turns of value out of Chain Vest, and not so much anymore. So, I mean, if you're familiar with what we do here, you know what we're about to do. We're about to go and turn something premium. If you're new to the channel and you're not familiar with this is a pay-to-win game. If you go and turn some of your cards premium, they don't necessarily, do better, but we think it makes them feel better. It boosts their confidence and stuff, and then they perform better than your opponent's cards. And so we are going to have to go and turn someone premium. I was kind of hoping to pick up a scout unit, but let's see what we would even have as far as these cards are concerned. I don't even know. We don't have any blinding assaults. We could level up Island Navigator, but it's a rare. Stalking Broodmother. There you go. You're our scout that we can go and level up. I'm completely on board with that. Gonna need some work out of this Broodmother. Go and help close out these games. Has the scout mechanic. It's got to make all the cards we want to show up. Things are looking pretty good. That was probably the best choice of the entire trial right there. Pay to win. Let's see how much our 100 coins gets us through this one. Local single mom. Nice. All right, that's a pretty reasonable start. I think we're good to get rid of the first blade, and then see how this plays out. Cool. I mean, we got this Vanguard Defender Fortune Croaker combo, so it doesn't take the damage from the Croaker. Interesting little start. Okay. Nice. You pull the old bus start where you you play a unit on one and just pass. Okay, you get strong attacks into all of this. And none of it quite worth it, an exhaust, so it's an easy little skip over that. Interesting. We have all the twos. I don't think we want to play Rockhopper here unless he opens. If he opens on us or something, then I'll play Rockhopper. But otherwise, I think we're looking pretty decent now. I don't know if he just got some kind of like weird draw or what's going on here, but okay. This is what I'm talking about. The chain vest used to be much stronger. It's because you'd run into a lot of starts like this. But we'll see. We still got a pretty powerful go with this here. But right, you used to be able to just relentlessly challenge down these these 1/1s with a chain vest challenger. Just not really a thing anymore. So what do you think of this? I'm on board. Probably the best chain vest we're going to get out of this. And we're still good to say, Honored Lord and exhaust something. So, see if he's just done playing cards or what we can do here. I don't really want to have to exhaust this Eager Apprentice, but if that's what it takes to clear out his board, I'm not super opposed to it. Fine. You know what? Fine, dude. Okay, and then I don't want to be challenging. Oops, hang on, let's do this right. I want this to have 2 health. I don't want to challenge with Honored Lord. Now I think we're good. Right? We want him to get barrier on a real unit. We don't want to really burn this barrier onto his hapless aristocrat. It should be tough for them to have combat tricks here. Like, you can have suit up to make something a 4/4. They could have like the +4 and quick attack. Like, all these are fine. The 4/4 one would kind of suck, but otherwise, I'm not really worried about any of the Piltover or Shadow Isles tricks. Okay. Got a pretty powerful board, but this is this is where you need to have some more late game to be throwing down here. Our hand is not super powerful. Do you think our opponent's intimidated by our premium cards? Could be the case, right? Look at all these premiums. This shit's shiny. It's prismatic, I should say. In the big decisions. What if he just passes? It's tough. I think we still have to play a card if he passes, but this is the style of deck I was trashing on earlier. These Thresh decks that just come out and try to trade 1 for 1. What if he just passes now? I think I'm okay with this. He should be trying to get a hook on something. He's pretty far behind, but he disagrees. So I think this is okay. We get a good attack with the Companion. If he wants to block with Thresh, we can take him down with Weight of Judgment after the fact, or we can just Weight of Judgment something else. I think this is reasonably good. I mean, all we really missed out on was we could have opened here, which would have been nice. Also kind of missed out on, just playing Fortune Croaker. All of this seems fine. This is great for us. So let's see here. He's a little bit far away from deep, although he could hit it with like a salvage. Then otherwise, not worried about this Thresh leveling up just yet. Although if he blocks everything, his Thresh will level up. Ooh, we lost the Ruination and Spectral Matron. Wow. Okay, that's safe. Now, how much do we worry about this combat? Thresh can't level up here without an additional card. That's the big thing, right? Say Thresh blocks and kills something, he trades Deadbloom Wanderer for something, then his Thresh won't do enough damage. But I think we're looking at something like this.
I go!
Can't fight on an empty stomach.
Still got to try and get his board whittled down. We got to get this stuff out of here. One of the things that you tend to run into with these kind of like Maokai decks is they really want units on the board to sacrifice. And so if the extent of his board is like just Thresh, then that's a big boost for us. This seems good. He's going to leave his Thresh at 4 ticks, which is very challenging for him to sacrifice a unit and get a Thresh flip next turn. The Thresh flip isn't that scary. Like, I'm not super worried about him playing a Maokai. Very good chance he actually kills himself with Maokai. But let's see how this rolls out. Okay. 1, 2, 3. So that would be 4. So his Thresh will flip. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty okay if he wants to bring this Maokai out. I think we might be able to stall long enough that he maybe kills himself. It's kind of getting to this point to where he can maybe like play one more toss card and then he'll just start killing himself. So I think we're okay here. I think this is okay. Maybe we'll get it. I always forget with some of these cards if they say like deck or hand. I can't remember if it used to just be that things were from your deck only and there were some feel bad moments when you drew it and couldn't get it on the board, but I can't remember if there's a different game or not, but I think we're completely fine here. Was he going to put the hook onto our companion? Interesting. Okay. Interesting. So, I mean, we do have the kill onto Maokai if we want. Let's just play all of our cards. Let's see what we draw from the Fortune Croaker first. I don't think we're going to get a good scout attack, but we could get a pretty reasonable open attack onto this Maokai. But right, the big thing with him is, first time you play another ally, toss 2, then summon a sapling. And so he has to add units to the board, so he has to be like tossing on himself, and he only has 12 cards left. So the 2 tosses and 1 card would, the normal card draw would give him 4 turns, and then he would die on the 5th turn from now. And then the Maokai still wouldn't flip. So he's a pretty dangerous play here. He does a lot of... I do use this phrase that people can get confused by, is say, just don't lose until you win. And that's, kind of what Maokai's pretty good at. He's pretty good at this, making sure that you don't lose, but he doesn't really help with the whole win half of the equation. But that usually applies to like when we're have like so many cards ahead of our opponent, like one of these spots where our opponent has like 1 or 2 cards in their hand and they have like 1 or 2 units, and then we have like 6 or 8 cards just ready to tear apart their board. That was pretty lucky for us. But then if they you have to be like, okay, what's this like 1% chance our opponent can beat us with? Can they, like, beat us with an atrocity, or how can they do it? I think we actually are going to play our unit.
Beast or shit?
And you just have to play around those like really super like specific corner cases that can actually beat you. So if you don't lose, then you'll win.
Protect our grove.
Okay, well, this board's still good for us. You know, I really don't even want to... How would that get him to 4?
Set the hooks.
Hang on, that doesn't make sense. Let's just do this. You got plenty of time here. Plenty of time for this Maokai to kill him. He's basically just going to have to win next turn.
We go, we go, we go. Pipe them, cut them, kill them. More.
Trying to level up that Maokai. Fortunately for him, he's going to be 1 short. I don't think it'll matter anyways, but 1 short. He's in quite the pickle now, right? if he plays a unit, he's going to have to toss for 2. He kind of needs to play a unit here. Okay.
Tear them apart, let them scream.
Grow tall. Grow strong.
You get to see that sweet flip animation, though. That's always a thing. Down to 4. Look at that. Our Terror of the Tides is huge now. So we'll wait till he attacks since we have these two 2/2s in our hand, and then push forward after that. Probably just kill him with Terror of the Tides, but
Play their souls, eyes everywhere. Pipe them, cut them, kill them.
okay.
More.
Interesting. We're kind of in that same spot. I think the only way we'd ever lose here is to an atrocity. And I don't think he's going to have a way to get us from 14.
Where you go, I go.
Okay.
No. Be Demacia.
All right. Well, I guess we might just be closing it out early.
Batter 'em. Oh, I hear them. Eat up, friend.
Man, this is like the worst pilfered goods ever. Dude doesn't even have a deck. I just noticed that. Man, could life be any harder? I'm gonna play it and then you use the emote feature. I'm feeling pretty good about it. I'm gonna play it. How do you? Where's the thing at? Oh no, shocked face. Alright, good game, friend. Okay. The dangers of playing Maokai. Alright, and so yeah, I mean, I really intended on us being some kind of misfortune scout kind of deck, but that hasn't really presented itself as a possibility here. And so I'm kind of thinking, I am really interested in picking up this Jarvan, and this should fix all of our late game problems as well by just having a Screeching Dragon. And then for our last remaining champion pick, I do intend on taking Misfortunes, but this isn't like a super good one. Hired Gun, you know, pretty decent here. But I think this is a very good Jarvan, and it kind of fills in a lot of the gaps that we're looking for. It lets us get the 3 champions for the Siphoning Strike plays, and so I'm pretty on point with taking that. Okay. So we just found ourselves back into playing Jarvan Elites, right? I did push up Jarvan on the tier list. I think he's one of the more powerful card pools in Expedition. He's pushed him up into the tier 2. I think it's a tough sell to say that he would be like a tier 1 champion, but this challenger package with the Honored Lords and everything is such a strong set, and it overlaps so well with Demacian Steel. It's just a very good set of cards.
I have been sent by the king himself.
Alright. Badger Bear seems reasonable.
Let us settle this with grace and
Alright,
civility.
well let's just go ahead and get this shit out of here.
Our deed, if you
We could, technically save the barrier, since and just throw this in front of the Badger Bear. But I think this is fine. We have a second Honored Lord in our hand if we really need to get a second barrier attack in. But this is good for us, right? He has no units on the board, prevented 3 damage, has a ton of cards in hand. How bad is this do nothing this do nothing thing he seems to be doing here? I think it's okay. I played the Vanguard Defender because my big worry when they do this shit is going to be a Spirit Fire next turn, and I need to see what we can do to ensure that we don't get murdered by Spirit Fire. Well, he just had the most awkward draw ever. But the idea there was, we were going to have our 2/2 with Tough, we were going to have a Loyal Badger Bear, and we are going to have a Screeching Dragon. So if he did manage to have the Spirit Fire, and if he didn't play it in combat, right? If he played it pre-combat, he would get 2 units. No, we could still War Chest through that, so we should have just lost 1. Oh, good stuff. Okay, all right. We do still have to act like a Scouts deck, I think. I don't feel like we need a whole lot more top end, but I do want to pick up the Scout unit here. And these other cards don't quite play to our themes. Like Larnt Duelist kind of plays to the themes, but we have enough of these early game challenges already. We've got the 2 Exhausts, the Rockhopper, some Jaw Hunters and stuff, and so I'm not opposed to picking up more of these abilities. I would just prefer it not be Larnt Duelist. But granted, he is better than Chain Vest. It is a he, right? He is better than Chain Vest, so... Nonetheless, I want the Great Horn Companion. The Bloodthirsty Marauder doesn't quite play to our themes, other than just we like to play a card on every turn. The Mana Curve theme. You're gonna make a deck just called Good Mana Curve. He fits in there nicely. Okay, where are we at? No Thresh deck this time. The old Reputation. It's the name of the Taylor Swift album. I mean, I'm a huge Taylor Swift fan. I've got the sweet wall calendar. Haven't had the chance to put up yet. Let's see. Can we get that in there? I've got my Taylor Swift wall calendar. Haven't had a. I have to get that hung up at some point. Got that sweet 1-year anniversary present, right? You get married, and your wife still buys you Taylor Swift calendars, and so good stuff. Good stuff.
If it's made of sand, I can
So
write.
this is a touch awkward in that I don't really want to be trading Honored Lord for Rockhopper, since we have this misfortune. So let's see. Okay, attacks perfect.
I have been sent.
You got caught.
Now we should be able to mangle his board.
Fortune favors the bold.
So this has potential to be an absolutely fantastic exhaust. This kind of feels like he wants to just play a
For befell.
what's it called? A LeBlanc, but he could have a sharpened resolve or something here, which would be slightly awkward. Yeah, sharpened resolve. He's not blocking this guy though. Whirling Death. That's fine.
Love ya.
Can't steer.
The big things here is he doesn't get to add any units to the board, so pretty happy with how that came out.
I'm ready to get bloody.
Interesting. Let's see what he does. Are we cool to just trade? Kind of feels like it sucks to trade because we have the exhaust, but I think this is fine. Oh shit, we're vulnerable. Oops. Forgot about that. It's okay.
The star.
So do we just have to like wait a turn? Oh, that's ultimately pretty awkward. Let's see if we can't get a good exhaust. Maybe try to Siphoning Strike on his turn, then play Jarvan on ours. It's been a lot cooler for us if this thing still just had 3 health.
Flavor
and spice.
I've had enough of you.
Okay. So do we want to exhaust this thing? It'll go down to 4. Probably do.
My hell now.
Yeah, do something to get it out of here.
Are you quite done?
Okay, that's fine. Probably not getting a Siphoning Strike, but we can make a big play with the Great Horn Companion and Jarvan next turn. You get up, what was that, Ruthless Predator? Okay.
It's a rain axe in our wake.
So it'll suck to take this hit, but ultimately I think it's probably worthwhile. He may not even attack into our Great Horn Companion, but he's ready to take it down with Jarvan. Oh no! Ah, oh, brutal. Brutal, brutal, brutal. Oh, this was gonna be so sick. We're gonna get 2 attacks out of Jarvan and such. Damn.
Feel the sizzle. I will fight for Demacia till the day I die.
This is the first one we survived. That's bonkers. Just the have-it-alls. Okay.
Ours is but to do and die.
Brutal. Just getting savaged at every turn this game. But, I mean, I guess at worst,
Doesn't look like much.
you know, we have 3 cards and a unit on board. We're like 1 card ahead of him, so. We do only have 1 champion for our Siphoning Strikes left. It's kind of unfortunate.
Be grateful I even noticed you.
Okay. We have to take this hit. It kind of sucks, but I think this leaves us pretty well positioned to deal with the rest of his stuff. Well, it did. All right, let's see. Let's see how wrong this one can go. Oh my god, something was successful. Okay. We might as well just try to trade. If he has, a whirling death or whatever, it's still just going to leave us in the same spot. But
Years take, experience gives.
okay.
Hey, I am feeling great.
Okay, I don't think we get any real value out of attacking here. We gotta either find a big boy or a trick or something to remove these. This is not a good spot to be going in for an attack.
It's not me. It's you.
I'm willing to give up one. Right? Let's see what happens here.
This.
Okay.
Mother.
We're good. I think we're about to take this over. Look at that. He knows what's happens. It's because it's premium, right? Oh, that's what it is. It's because we turned it premium. Nice. Oh, that could be huge. Very strong pickups.
Bullet to the face.
Even if he like blocks and has a Nox and guillotine, this is still pretty good for us. All right, nice. So yeah, I'm planning on just going and taking the Misfortune. I hope she has some kind of like reasonable set of units with her, or you need to take a Quinn. It'd be cool if it showed us a Quinn as well, but no, that's not the way it goes. And so I wish these cards were kind of cheaper, but like the thing we're kind of running into is this is such a good Garen with the Aegis and the Sergeant. But I was gonna say the thing that we're running into is like our curve is getting a little high. We have a big bunch of 5 drops. Some of those are siphoning strikes, but we added the Broodmother and the Jarvan, so things are pushing up. And Misfortune is just cheap, right? But man, it's such a good Jarvan, or it's such a good Garen. I usually hate I hate drafting multiples of Garen as well. But I think we'll be okay with the Sheriff. And then we can look to just trade away something expensive, even if it means like trading. There are some of these cards I would like to trade away, like Vanguard First Blades would be fine. I don't think our curve is that bad. We just have to accept that like we aren't an aggro deck. I have to like stop and remind myself sometimes I'm not like an aggro deck. And we do have a lot of these early game plays. We have the war chefs with the various challengers and things. It all works very good in the early game. But we have to just kind of remember that we aren't a early game deck. But I think this is okay. This is be good. Okay. So yeah, I think we're good. Good. Have some of these expensive cards we can trade away. Should the Green Fang Wardens ever try to make an appearance? It seems like our interaction is good. That one feels odd. I think we're okay with the Misfortune, so. It's a big thing I come out here and preach every single one. Every single trial. You gotta mind that curve. You can't just have six drops and 6/7 drops. Not gonna be successful. So this is tough. Probably need to get rid of this exhaust just to try to find and make sure we have something else to do. It's not the end of the world if we play Fortune Croaker on 2 as a 2/3. We would prefer to get the value out of it, but it's not horrible to do that. Sivir Renekton. And traditionally, these Shurima decks have absolutely abysmal early game. Kind of the thing I talk about with these a lot is that they aren't quite able to like really take over the early game. It's hard for them to get, not trades with Rockhopper, right? He can play Rockhopper and like just deal damage to something, but it's hard for him to actually win a combat with Rockhopper. This is a little unfortunate. We're having to awkwardly play to getting this misfortune going, but I don't think I'm willing to just give up on her. Give him the value hook on the defender.
Look at this. Woohoo! No regrets.
He's going to be pretty unsafe, right? It's so easy for them to just like burst a vulnerable onto her. Maybe we should have just accepted that and gave up on her last turn. But I don't think we're like super worried about his aggression to the point that that we're completely worried about this. And then we also have this thing where if he like, wants to say play Renekton next turn, and then we have the opportunity to Siphoning Strike and make her make Misfortune huge, we can potentially get around a lot of this.
Pride was my end, as it will be yours.
That one is slightly awkward. And then we can't actually take down his big unit, but we can take down one of these littles. What do we even think of that? So this is going to force a trade. I think this is okay. And it does make our misfortune a 4/5. We technically could have exhausted the Sand Spinner, but that feels a little thin to me. Okay.
Disintegrate. Fall to pieces.
Interesting. I think we just want to bank again, right?
Every wave is a path.
Hell yeah, elusive. Get in there.
Sands beneath me and winds behind me.
It's okay. We need to stall this board out. So let's get these scout attacks in. I'm gonna play War Chefs. It's okay. Oh,
Katina, you gotta see this new board.
Little busy now, Sammy. Later.
bad is this? We're a little too weak to really deal with these units. All right, we probably have to exhaust something just to get it off the board, but I don't really like that. His board is fully wide. He's just got to be able to replace it. Okay. All right, so we're gonna get blasted here. We're gonna take like 10. Then hopefully we can start to recover with our big boys. This was a big pickup in Gallant Rider.
You've made your
That's the
path.
easy one.
You pay first.
Not sure if it particularly matters. I guess having our various 2 attack units, we should probably just put it onto this one. I mean, there's an argument to put it here. So if we exhaust Hook with the Gallant Rider, we can take down his biggest unit.
A morsel of regret. My board!
The sample.
Ugh, brutal. Okay.
Would you look at this place?
Contest the Bakar. We have nothing to lose.
What a shame for you!
Alright, so we're 1 mana short of this being a good turn now. Painful. I guess we can just hook his Bakai.
Yeah, faster!
How much more wrong this turn can go.
Get my helmet.
What up? Here's my Ruthless Predator. That's the way he sounds, in case you didn't know. He's passing. I mean, we have to Siphoning Strike something. I think we just keep going for it. You know, if he has a minus attack card, fine. It's gonna fail on everything but the Sand Spinner. But we really need to get our Rock Hopper onto Sand Spinner. Okay. I don't know what he's passing on here, unless he just has a handful of expensives. It's tough for Sivir Renekton to do. Sure.
A noble end.
Not quite who we were looking for, Slotbot.
I will run you over.
Only human.
Each card you do last round, so get it next turn either way. And we're just not going to play him. Alright. Well, let's see if we can't recover here. I think we just have to be ultra greedy, and so I want to get the Crackshaw Corsair down. Then I'm just going to exhaust his thing afterwards. I don't know how much we ever care about this. Okay.
Got them for our god. Give it a whirl.
Alright, Slotbot, it's your time to shine. You get him good. Yep. It's just at every turn we just can't catch a break.
Oh yeah.
Alright, maybe he'll play a 10 mana unit that we can kill with Weight of Judgment. That would be pretty cool. Pretty cool. Oh wow. Whoa.
Not starting trouble, just ending it.
Oh, we're gonna have fun.
Alright, let's see what we can do here. I can't. We just have to hope he has some kind of like really weird hand that just can't do anything. Like it was extremely weird last turn that he just didn't play units to use with the Sandswept Tomb. And so I don't know if he just has some kind of like really awkward draw, or he just has a bunch of like exhausts and ruthless predators, or what's happening with this dude here.
Destruction.
Can we survive this? Nope. Sure. That's a weird game. Drew like a really weird selection of cards. But alright, let's see what we can do here. I'm not really interested in citrus couriers, but I don't want chain vest whatsoever, so we can get rid of it. And then I want to hang on to our early drops, and so I've been babbling a whole lot about maintaining our curve, which that does not help us do in any way, shape, or form. But the chances that we actually want to play a chain vest are like 1 in 10. It's just so bad. I guess it was okay that Mystic Shot game, but I don't think we were ever losing that game, right? Where our opponent Mystic Shot our unit and we chain vest through it and then attacked a 1-drop with it, like, or 1 attack unit, like, sure. But that's going to be the rare, not the norm. Okay. Well, let's hang on to a 3-drop so we at least have something to do. It's fine.
Bounty Board knows me name. Let's get to it.
Let's start taking over this board. We can get a Badger Bear going, but now if he wants to actually, get units on the board, we're going to abuse him with the Badger Bear and the Honored Lord. Not opposed to passing here. I have to assume that he wants us to attack. He's going to play a unit after the fact. But against this, multiple Draven deck, I'm pretty okay. That's fine. With just passing if he was going to try to get us like that.
These hands know metal and magic.
Alright, this is a pretty good hit from him.
Time for the main event.
Okay. We just have to throw War Chefs in front of his Rune Weaver. We can start to recover next turn with the Honored Lord here, and then Razor Scale Hunter next turn. We have to stop something here. We can't play for super value.
I have been sent by the king himself.
Kind of okay with just playing Garen here, trying to Garen down this Draven. What do we think of that? Super excited about that.
There's blood in the water.
Bring him home.
So how bad can this go? Like, if this goes completely wrong, I think we just need to start with Draven. He can discard Spinning Axe to end this, but we just need to do some not dying here. It's just so bad if we say, hook the Jagged Butcher and then he has a weapon hilt or something. Yeah, we just need to not die.
To serve the greater good.
My heart and sword for Demacia.
Alright, no weapon hilt, please. I mean, should we have just Weight of Judgmented this thing?
Let's get to
Uh-oh, uh-oh. Alright, well, we have to block down here. Like, if he has, the Whirling Death or whatever it is to take care of Garen, that's fine. We just can't have him getting a value hit on him.
There's plenty of killing left.
Scorched Earth? Yep, that's fine.
Demacia will prevail.
Okay, we just want to send the dragon in. This is another awkward one. I think we can exhaust something. He just spent his Nox and Guillotine, so hopefully we don't have to worry about that. Let's take out the Challenger. Can do unfortunate things to us with this. There's an argument to just come in and take down the Overwhelm. But I think we can manage this Overwhelm.
We three will have blood.
assume he just takes it. And I mean, it doesn't feel like he has a combat trick. That kind of seems like if he has a combat trick, then why didn't he, you know, try to use it with the Brutal Hunter last turn? And so, boy, did not expect that. We got a shot, boys. We got a shot.
To serve the greater good.
Okay, so we can still hook our dragon and kill it, but ultimately getting that 3-for-1 out of it would be pretty nice.
Would you look at this place?
The dead don't need riches.
Try to run.
Ugh,
Tools of conquest in our hands.
must be nice. Alright, well I think we need to just go ahead and get rid of this Overwhelm. Yes, we prevent more damage with the Jagged Butcher, but we're going to have to deal with this future Overwhelm hit. So let's just get it out of here. Just play everything. I have to assume that our late game is better than his, and so hopefully that's what will ultimately save us here.
Welcome.
Ring the fucking bell.
Ring the fucking bell.
I've got us covered.
This could be a little unfortunate in the sense that you know we don't have anything to use this siphoning strike with, but all right. On board with the Screeching Dragon.
We three will have blood. Heads will. You are my prey.
Get the weapon hilt now of all times. Make it rain. Wow, dude, why didn't you do that before? I guess. Did he miss? Oh, he missed. Okay. I'm gonna wait on this siphoning strike. Maybe we'll find a better target out of his deck for this.
Bilgewater's a mess, but I'll clean it up.
Oh, we were so close. We brought it back so well. I mean, we could have played that different. We could have taken less damage from that Overwhelm hit and then tried to challenge it down the next turn, but it's just so dangerous to leave yourself in that spot to where he gets to attack with the Overwhelm twice. Like, if we'd taken down his Overwhelm unit and then he had a combat trick to save it, then there's a good chance we would have just died. But, dang, that was brutal. But okay, I mean, not a bad run, not a bad trial. I mean, I don't know, you know, kind of what the deal is with with Misfortune anymore these days. If I'm approaching her wrong, or if you know, it's just not a good metagame for her. She does have a bit of trouble with Shurima. You know, you did have in the times of past, you would kind of look at Misfortune as being a landmark, and so she would just sit around and provide this this 1 damage ability. And now that there's, you know, just a humongous pile of the vulnerable cards out of Shurima, you know, she's a little bit more at risk, right? They added in a faction that has a lot more combat tricks in it, and so, you know, in the past when she was doing battle against like Freylord or Demacia or Bilgewater, you know, even Targon to a degree, Targon only has 1 real removal spell. You know, she was a lot safer than there is just this faction that has a bunch of vulnerables. And so, I mean, the times we let her go, we put her in combat when we didn't have to once, and then she died to removal spells in another one. And so, you know, I think she's still fine. It's just a little unfortunate that, you know, there's a new faction that can kind of interact with her. I still think she's up here as like I think we typically rate her as like a tier 2 to tier 3 champion. I can't remember where I have her sitting anymore. She's just an extremely powerful champion, but the card pools don't always work out to her advantage. But nonetheless, this was a touch of an awkward trial in the sense that, this is the way you have to approach it, as to where if you want to be doing the Misfortune build around, you have to get paired with Demacia. That's what we did, but then we just didn't see any scouts, and so that kind of is what it is to a degree. We took the ones we saw. I think the first one we actually saw was like way down here. There's no way it was a stalking broodmother. Did we actually go like the entire trial without seeing a scout unit until pick 13? I don't know. Like this was a really kind of like low roll as far as the draft went, right? I remember calling out like 4 or 5 or 6 specific scouted out packs that were just like, what up? Here's a here's a chain vest and an irrelevant unit, or a Bayou brunch and something else. And so, we did really low roll on the scouted out packs, but uh, you know, I think we still navigated this well, and I do think that she is a pretty good pairing as far as all of these challengers are concerned, right? These challengers still, even, we were complaining about Sherma, but these are pretty strong into, a faction that has 3 1 and 2 drops, right? Then 2 of those units have 1 health, right? Rockhopper, Bloodthirsty Marauder have 1 health, and then the 2/3 Predict, of course, has 3 health. But the Shurima early game very vulnerable to getting beat up on by Misfortune. But ultimately, I think if we could have done it a little bit differently, we might have wanted some more combat tricks. I know we passed on some like Radiant Strikes. We didn't see any Prismatic Barriers, but our combat tricks were basically things like Exhaust and nothing that we could spend to protect Misfortune from a mishap in combat. And so, those were kind of like the 2 things that we would have liked to have seen. We did get, of course, the weird scouted out packs to where the actual scout units and the barriers would have appeared had the weird packs not shown up. But I still think we navigated this pretty well. I think this barrier challenger theme was pretty good. I think our late game was pretty good here. Our late game scouts are typically pretty happy to be given challenger, or kind of pick on your opponent's vulnerable units. I like how we kind of went after the siphoning strikes with our 3 champion set here. I thought this turned out pretty good. It was just kind of a unfortunate go at it with the draft, and then kind of a little bit of awkwardness there at the end. In both of those last games, we got to where we were ahead on cards of our opponent, but down on health, and then just like right on the verge of making a comeback and being able to take the game over. And so I thought, all in all, we were in a pretty good spot here, just doing the best we can with what we are given. And our deck was, just a little bit weaker than what we would typically find out of a 7 winner. But nonetheless, if you are looking to draft this Misfortune style Scouts deck in the future, of course, the big thing to be looking for are the Scout units. The big ones you'll be looking for are the Green Fang Warden and then the Grizzled Ranger, which we saw 0 of in this trial. But those are your kind of like core early game units. They both do play pretty well. With the challengers and the vulnerable theme that we saw here, getting in 2 attacks with a Green Fang Warden where you get to, kind of beat up on your opponent's units however you want, can be pretty powerful. And that's kind of the thing that I was hoping to be able to pursue here, just not quite what came together. It doesn't take much, though, to kind of be like, man, if I play like Rockhopper on 2 and Green Fang Warden on 3, I bet that Green Fang Warden can do something pretty nice. or, or if, hey, I have a Misfortune on the board and watch me play Green Fang Warden, I bet this works out pretty well. And so, it doesn't take too much ingenuity to see where these cards can play well together. But when it does come to Misfortune, I do feel like she has the opposite curve problem of what we tend to talk about. We were getting, a little curve heavy here. But, the big thing I like to call out with Misfortune in these scouts is, don't let yourself get to the end where you just don't have any top end. It is very, very easy for these Misfortune decks to get to the end of the draft, and you're just kind of like, well, I have 1 Stalking Broodmother and 1 Great Horn Companion, and that's it. If you're really being like picky and choosy about what your top end is going to be, very easy for this deck to get the short end of the stick as far as that's concerned. And so do kind of remember, you tend to not be an ultra aggressive deck. You tend to be more of a mid-rangey kind of control the board style deck. And then don't forget to take your top end. If you're specifically and only looking to take Great Horn Companions, the Stalking Broodmothers, very easy for you to just end the trial with one or two or 0 units, and then you do a great job of taking over the mid game. You've gotten some value blocks with your Badger Bears. You've gotten some value attacks with your Honored Lords, and then you just don't have anything to close out the game with. And that's ultimately where I think the big struggle with Misfortune will lie. Should you be in a more normal draft to where you actually where you actually showed a scout unit before the thing's over. And so that's what I like to really call out with her. But no, this is a pretty cool trial. These vulnerable cards out of Bilgewater paired up with Demacia, pretty cool. Did we need to dive into Shurima? Maybe not. But I thought it turned out well here. The Shurima stuff that we had, I thought worked pretty good with the strategies that we were trying to pull off. It might have diluted our deck a little bit too much from the kind of core themes that we were trying to pull off. But out of the 8 Shurima cards, 3 of them are Siphoning Strikes, and so that's a removal spell we can't complain about. And then we have 2 Exhausts and a Rock Hopper up here. Again, removal spells that we can't complain about, and so I think they turned out pretty reasonably in this deck. But nonetheless, that is going to do it for us. I did have one more thing I wanted to call out on here. I don't know if people actually watch or care the in like the YouTube descriptions where we kind of keep track of the wins and the losses, and like I think I was trying to find the right one. Did it really? Hang on, I got to click on the expedition button, right? Is that it? Oh, we did get there. Okay, so it would have happened in the previous trial, right? Since we got our 3 wins in this one, but it was like it's getting ready to push over 1,000 wins on the LOR Guardian, and I think like this is just kind of the win thing. I'm going to keep pushing forward. I know that some of my stat keeping wasn't perfect, and this is just a little bit easier. And I think it's kind of neat just to kind of see the long term win rate for our expedition mode here. Being at 63% win, I think is pretty good, especially when a lot of the trials are like this one, where we had the option to take that absolutely fantastic Zed, and we just went with Misfortune instead, so that we could produce a little bit different content for the people out there. I think that's pretty cool. And then I know on like the leaderboard they have the 7 win thing up here. I think I have like 97 7 winners that I've recorded. Like I did a portion of my recordings without LOR Guardian, and I went and used like Blitz for a while before I eventually got like really upset with Blitz, and I didn't like Mobalytics because it kept showing ads at me all the time. And so I came back to LOR Guardian, and so I know it has like the 79 wins, the 79 7 win trials here. I think I'm at like 97 on my personal stat keeping, but I kind of wanted to get to 100 and then just just completely switch that stat keeping to whatever LOR Guardian says. And so, if that's the thing you watch and monitor, we'll be a little bit differently here soon. Once I hit that 100th win on my recordings, then I'll I'll switch over to this LOR Guardian style. But interesting nonetheless. And these things get me, right. I try to look at the best trials average win rate, and it's like these people up here with like 6.5 and like in the 6s, but then they only have like 48 matches. Like no, like this Redman X, arguably the best expedition player around. I don't know if he still plays. I think he streamed on Twitch for a while. I don't know what he's doing anymore, but this guy getting his 3,000 matches in, and he used to be like way up in here as well. But yeah, this is Garbo, right? Having 56 matches and counting on top of the leaderboard. Yeah. Nonetheless, I think that will do it for today. I think we have a handful of rewards to click on. Let's see what that gives for us. Draklorn Inquisitor. I hope you have a time to shine. It does feel like a card, though, that once it's good, it's going to be like bonkers good. Right, the Lysandra theme is just like so bad right now, but if once you're getting to the point to where you get like 2 or 3 of those things on the board, those frozen thralls, and then have a way to activate them at like 4, it's so much like almost OTK potential. All right, and some essences. And cool, so that is going to do it for us today. I hope you all enjoyed the trial. You learned how to scout it out a little bit better. Maybe you learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.